It is Karen Murphy here. I'm so excited to be interviewing this amazing woman, Ann-Maree Mcdonald. She is just a beautiful soul, the most kind-hearted lady that I have the pleasure of knowing. I would love if you can share a little bit about what it is that you do or what have you done, and maybe a bit about your personal health story as well.
Okay, so my personal health story took a big kick in the guts in 2013 when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was working as a psych nurse at the time. My kid was in high school and I had a car lease, and I went blind to my right eye. It was really weird because I started going blind slowly over a 2-week period. I lost all the I lost colour, so I could see the world through my right eye as sepia, a sepia photograph, because certain cells in your eyes aren't working. And I'm like, oh man, I must need glasses. I love glasses. I was excited. So I went to the optometrist and they took a photo of the eye, the retina and the optic nerve. And so the optic nerve would normally look like a line feeding transmissions into the eye, but mine looked like a bushfire in my eye. And the minute I saw the picture, I knew that that was inflammation, and I knew that that was a nervous system thing. And I knew that it, might be MS. And so I went to an eye specialist, and he told me that it might be MS, but just go home and don't even follow it up and think about it. So I rang my GP, and she moved heaven and earth to get me a free MRI because I couldn't get Medicare for it. And so the beautiful people who rushed me in that afternoon and did this for me must have thought I was a doctor, because at the end of it, they gave me the disc and everything, and they were just looking at me like, here. So I took it home and I popped the disc into my laptop, and I had a look and did some research, and I could see that there were 6 lesions in my brain, which is what they then told me. And it was like, wow, that's pretty huge. That's incredible toxicity. Wow. And I ended up going bankrupt and losing my car because I could no longer work. So I was severely impacted by the diagnosis, and the medication I was on sent me into what they call the psychotic depression. So I was in no good place at that time, and I had been battling the symptoms of PTSD my whole life. So it was kind of like, I can't take any more of this.
How did you feel when you were going through all that?
It was dragging up all my childhood stuff, because my PTSD was about my traumatic childhood abuse. So I have to say it out loud, it happened, and it impacted my nervous system. When you're a developing child and you suffer severe and consistent trauma for prolonged periods of time, the scientific evidence shows that it has a severe impact on your nervous system and the way that you are in the world. And then I started researching all the alternate options I had, and it was really weird because I'd taken myself into Fortitude Valley in Brisbane. I've gone to the Indian market and I bought this bag of turmeric, and I'm thinking I'm going to cure myself by putting this on my boiled eggs, and it tasted like anyway. That same time I meet Fiona through a friend at a Norwex cleaning product party, and we were discussing the limitations of MS and other diseases, and the types of supports that people have. And she simply said to me, I've got something you might be interested in. So what happened was I started on it, and I had it for 2 months. And so I felt that within 2 weeks, I was kicking. I was like, oh my God, my prayers have been answered. I could feel the positive impact. And then so much was going on. We were losing, the farm was being sold up by the bank. My dad was dying of cancer. My incredible mate, Mike Walsh's brother, passed away. A good friend of mine with motor neurone disease passed away. So it was kind of like, oh my God, if that hadn't come along when it did, that Nrf2 activation opportunity, I don't think I'd be alive.
Wow. That's something. That's really something. You mentioned in the first 2 weeks you felt the impact. So can you maybe get into a little bit about the things that you felt then?
Okay, so what was going on in my body at the time was that I was burning. So I could feel burning, and particularly from my knees down. And I describe it, if you can imagine, you know the feeling when you go out and you stand on burning hot bitumen barefoot like we did back in the day when we were allowed to run around the neighbourhood, when it was different before all of this. And you know that feeling of burning bitumen? That's what my feet felt like, but at the same time it felt like I was carrying 50 kilo weights around my legs every time I wanted to take a step. Oh no, it's like, they call it tree stump legs. It's just incredible. So yeah, that was incredible. After 2 weeks, I noticed that those symptoms were subsiding quite, dramatically. It's about being proactive, not reactive. I waited to, it came into my life when I was at, a very extreme health crisis. And so for regular people to take this, they don't always feel the bing and the bang and the stuff that some of us get, but it works. It's incredible.
Have there been any other changes over the last two years or so that you've noticed? Obviously it's made some impact because you've said you've gone back to work.
Yeah, I've gone back to work into an incredibly toxic environment, and I'm armed up this time. One would think that, I might have had a relapse, which is kind of like, I've been doing this for 12 months in the heat, worst thing for MS. I don't have any of those symptoms anymore. No burning, no weight, no craziness, because it is activating your survival genes. So there's a consequence of that in your brain and in your behavior and, how you are. It's incredible. It's changed every dimension, every aspect of my life. And the biggest take-home message I'd like to give people about Nrf2 activation is that it's beyond a physical transformation. That's why it's not an overnight hit. It's not about eliminating toxins out of your body. Mine was so built up that I got holes in my nervous system. That's how toxic my body was. And now I'm running around and swimming and camping, and it's worth
Living
it.
life. Yeah. So it's literally changed your life.
Yep.
Please, everyone who has watched this, give some love and any support that you have for Ann-Maree. Thanks, Ann-Maree. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.